Hey, rock stars, Matt Omo here, and I want to break down for you one of my core processes. Now, this is a process that I've been working with for the last 10 years. There's been tens of thousands of people that have gone through this over the years. It's pretty incredible around the world, and there's great impact with this process. I bring together breath work and sound work and energy work and um, all different modalities that I've worked with have kind of merged into this process, and it's impacting your neurology, your biology, your psychology, your anyology that you look at, I guess. And it's really cool. It's a really powerful process. You'll dive into it, and you can enter it from different intention points, and you'll get the benefit of it, and usually a lot more than you signed up for, which is the beauty of it, which is why I love it so much. And it's I just want to break it down for you. The process is called soul vibing. Now, whether you've experienced it before or not, this video hopefully will give you more insight to the process itself. It's called soul vibing because I take you on a journey where you go to a place of resonating with the vibration of your soul. Now, it might sound a bit airy-fairy and woo-woo, right? But that's the best way that I can articulate it. In essence, what we're doing inside of us with our biology is we're using a breathing process that brings more oxygen into the body, as well as the sounds on top of it to that are more up tempo and rhythmical and loud to create a stress response, basically. And this is where we start, is we start in this space, and then that alters. It becomes a catalyst, basically, for us to move into a process that elicits a different frequency in our brain. So it takes us out of the waking theta or the waking beta state into a theta, delta, and maybe even kick us into a gamma state where we start to download information, and changes our biochemistry to release endorphins and moves through this beautiful process, so that we're actually in the mindset of flow or super conscious state. So we're not really perceiving the world and ourselves in the way that our waking mind does, our analytical mind. We're perceiving it more, let's say, from the subconscious or the expanded conscious state. So it's really cool. It's a cool place to go, and you start to then view your challenges, your issues, your restrictions in life with a new lens, from a different vantage point. And that's invaluable, as well as you learn how to self-regulate in this process, which is something that we all need more of. It's at the basis of everything that's going on with us, is that we get into we trigger a neurological response to that we don't feel safe, and that creates a different biology and a different lens that we look through, and then we have this reactiveness that we see in action our lives in, instead of actually being in observation and awareness and in harmony to create more expanded vantage point of our lives, and take more intuitive and inspired action than just contrived and reactive action. So that's the beauty of this, is that you build that resilience in you from doing this process. It's not just to lay down, let's listen to sound and rejuvenate ourselves. That's one component, but there's more to it than that. So here's how it works, is that there's 4 stages that you're going to go through. Okay, so the way I break it down with these 4 stages is you have the activation process. That's your first stage. Then the second stage comes into an unwinding. Then we go into an expansion process for the third stage. And the fourth stage then is integration, one of the most important parts of the process. Now, I'll walk you through the 4 stages. I think that's the best way to understand. In the process, we're using different rhythms, different sounds, instruments, breath, many different components I've put together to guide you through these 4 stages. If you want to know more details about why and how I'm doing this and eliciting this response in you, and I've got a foundations course where I pull it all apart and actually teach how to facilitate this. So that's a good thing to dive into. Now, for this short video, we're just going to go through the process, break it down, give you an overview of how it works. and how to actually participate in it. So back to those 4 stages then. We've got stage 1 is the activation. Now with stage 1, we'll be doing this active breathing. So it's quicker than we normally breathe because we want to bring more oxygen into the body, all right? You could say it's hyperventilating. That's a biological response. Yes, we're bringing more oxygen into the body. There's also an energetic component that's happening, which I pull apart more in the training as well. For now, it's just a rhythmic breath in that we breathe quicker than we normally breathe to elicit a response in us, along with the active sounds like the gong sounding or rhythmic drum beat, loud reverberation of the didge. These types of rhythmic kind of up-tempo sounds also elicit a stress response in our body. The ear is the number one sense that we utilize to assess whether there's danger or not. So if there's something that's triggering a response in the air, the high-pitched sounds or the low sounds or loud sounds, then that's going to elicit a stress response in the body. And why am I stressing you out? You're like, wait a minute, dude, I thought this was sound healing, right? I didn't come to get stressed out. What are you doing to me? Well, this is the catalyst to take you through this progression, the 4 stages, is that you need to elicit a stress response. Reason that I've put that in is because of all the work that I've done over the years with different cultures and traditions, whether it's meditation, whether it's fasting, whether it's static dance, a sweat lodge, a medicine ceremony, vision quest, you name it. Whatever I was exploring, there was a theme that spanned across all of them. And it was a theme that you first have a stressor, some activity or something that you're bringing into your system that's stressing the system to then elicit a response to allow you go into an altered consciousness or an expanded consciousness. So that's why I've layered it into this process, okay, the 4 stages. So the stress response is our gateway. So as we're doing this active breathing, we're bringing more oxygen into the body. Our body will hear these loud sounds and we'll start to release the stress hormones of cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, like, these things that will allow us to be in fight or flight or engaged. We're like, whoosh, we're on. So that way, you're not sitting in a place of going through your to-do list of all these things that need to happen that you forgot about while you're lying down and doing this process, or you're not just slipping off to sleep and missing the whole journey itself. You're engaged, you're present, you're here, you're alert, okay? As well as your body's pumping these chemicals, which triggers a stress response to knock the pendulum of homeostasis out to a place where it needs to then rebalance in the next 2 stages. So let me just break down this breathing process that I utilize. Now, you may have done rebirthing, you may have done holotropic breath work, you may have done some Wim Hof work. I mean, there is something in yoga and meditation. Breath and different breathing techniques have been utilized for millennia. I get that. I would suggest that for this process, suspend those things that you've tried or you experienced and just try it on, like try on a shoe. Like you wouldn't put a new shoe over your old shoes, would you? And just, say, oh, it really doesn't feel right. Well, of course not, because it's over another shoe. Like, take your shoes off. Take your perceptions and your experiences of breath out of the equation and dive into this one, okay? This particular breath comes from a teacher of mine who's based in Los Angeles. His name is David Elliott. Google him, check him out. He's an incredible man. But I've explored Leonard Orr's rebirthing. I've explored different cathartic rebirths. I've done so many different trainings, and I always come back to this one. So try it on, see how it works for you. The way that it works is we do 2 inhales, okay? So the first inhale is you're gathering the energy of the awareness at the base, all right? So we're pulling it from the base of the spine. This is where our awareness goes. I won't explain in this video why the awareness is going there. We break that down more in the foundations course, and the advanced process as well. But we're basically breathing up the spine. So you want your awareness to be as if on the first inhale, like that you're pulling the breath up the spine into the heart. All right, that's the first breath. Now the second breath is that you want to bring that breath, that energy that awareness that you've gathered into the heart, from the heart to the head, okay? So whether that's expanding the belly on the first one or pulling up from the base and contracting the pelvic floor up, whatever belly breath works for you to open that, pull it up, okay? And then the second breath is that you let the ribs expand. They're like an accordion. You can expand them out here and expand them out this way, right? So that's the second one, and you're visualizing it from the heart to the middle of the head. So it's, right? Okay, so you got 2 inhales in, from the base to the heart, and from the heart to the head. So you've gathered all your awareness, all the energy, you've filled your lungs up completely, and you've come up into the top of the head. Now the exhale, you let all that relax, you let all the air fall out, and you imagine that you just send this swirl of energy out in all directions to create what's called a torus of awareness, right? So it spins up the spine, the awareness, and it swirls out and around and back into the base again, okay? So it's kind of like this, in and out, in and out. So the rhythm looks like this. So one right after the other. Now, as you get going in that breath, you can take the gaps out and you can take the raspiness out. And the reason I do that is for illustration purposes. And you'll hear in a lot of my recordings that broken, raspy breathing, because how else can I express it to you if I'm breathing quietly and not breaking it down? Because it is, the reason we do 2 breaths is because we want to bring it up and out, which is an energetic component as to what's happening there. And we also want to fill up completely. So if you just did 1 breath, you're not going to stretch and expand the breath as far as you can. So that's why I have 2, all right? See how it relaxes when you start to get into it? Super easy, all right? So that's the most active that you'll be in the process. The most aware you'll need to be through the process is during that first segment, the activation. We'll do it for about 15-20 minutes, depending on which version of the journey you go into. And then at that state, you'll have more oxygen in the body. You'll have stress hormones pumping through your veins. You'll be really alert and awake in a beta-like state, in what's happening kind of place. Then we say switch the breathing. Now what I do is I go into then a nose breathe, right? And this is moving to stage 2, which is called the unwinding. Your body's stressed out, the physiology is there. The body will then start to assess what's going on and say, mate, you've pushed yourself out of balance. You're in a stress state. We've got to balance that back out. Otherwise, your pH is going to go acidic. Your blood's going to go acidic, and you're going to die. You're not going to die. I'm just joking. This is like the body interpreting what's going on, because the body wants to keep it safe and in harmony, right? That's its job. So we're utilizing that component, that homeostasis, then to trigger a response that says, I've got to release now some nitric oxide to trigger the response that I want to, and release the endorphins in stage 3, which is where then you start to create this expanded hyperconscious state, right? So we come into stage 2. It's only about 3 to 5 minutes in stage 2. Basically, what's happening is the body's assessing itself to then realize that it's stressed and then do what needs to be done, which is release the hormones and the chemicals to rebalance. So this is like a gateway into stage 3. So you're breathing through the nose, slow, deep breaths. And if you want to give it a bit of a hum, that helps to soothe the system as well. So it's just simple. And you can either do mouth open, mouth closed. If your mouth's open, it's not so much a hum, is it? It's a more of an ah, yeah? Okay, so just be mindful of that. So we do that 3 to 5 minutes, and then you'll be off with the expanded awareness. You'll start to, during the breathing, during stage 1, the activation and the unwinding, you might feel sensations, tingling, hot, cold sensations, muscle contraction, cramping, emotional memories, visions, alien encounters, dolphins, mermaids, fairies, all kinds of weird shit, right? Just trust it. It's all good, yeah? And you want to have a sense of wonder, a sense of awe as you go through this whole process, okay? So let the analytical mind fall away. Now, it's totally safe. Like I said, I've worked with thousands of people. Nobody's died yet. You're totally safe, right? and just relax. As discomfort comes up, if there's any pain that comes up, it's an opportunity to see where there's a resistance. Yeah. And this resistance then allows you to grow, basically. So welcome it and relax into it. It will dissipate, give you a new awareness, and then you move on. Or you can clamp down on it, cling to it, and ooh, that becomes really painful. You don't really want to do that. Okay. So anyway, now unwinding, breathing through the nose. Stage 2 just automatically happens. You don't have to worry about, oh, am I doing this right at this point? Because you would have committed to the first part, the first stage, the activation. Second stage is the unwinding. It's the body just acknowledging what you've done in stage 1. And then you go right into stage 3, which is the beautiful stage now. The endorphins of serotonin, dopamine, anandamide, DMT, oxytocin, all these beautiful feel-good hormones are pumping through your veins, and you have the opportunity to perceive things differently. So stay there, be curious, be with awe and wonder. In this segment, if you've gone through the entire process, you would ideally be in a theta state, a meditative state, a creative state. Anandamide's pumping through your veins, which is the bliss hormone. It causes lateral thinking that then allows you to start to think, have thoughts that don't normally fire together. So you're literally using a new thought process to perceive your reality and the challenges that you may have. Using a new mind to solve those problems, right? It's fascinating. DMT is a natural body chemical in the body that may actually be triggered to release during this journey, along with oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine. All these are feel-good chemicals, and also elicit visual experiences as well. So trust it and be with that sense of awe. In a theta state, that's where you are mostly as a child. From 0 to 7, you mostly have the brainwave pattern of that. It's like your subconscious. That's why we're like sponges. So in this state, you want to be with that awe, that wonder. If the analytical mind starts to come back in, trigger back in, say, oh, this is weird. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this is happening. Let me think about it. That kind of thing. Just use this great mantra that I use. You say, thank you. No, you start out like this. I hear you. I love you. Let's talk later. Those 3 things. You just say, I hear you. You acknowledge it. I love you. You know, no, not pushing against you. I love you, but let's talk later, right? Simple little mantra to throw in there, and it helps you expand into this 3rd stage of expansion. Now, the other thing that may happen is what you go into what's called transient hyperfrontality. So your prefrontal cortex is basically deactivated, right? Now, that part of the brain allows you to experience your body proprioception as well as time. So if you go through this whole process, you're like, that was 2 minutes, or that felt like 3 days. It's because we've lost sense of time and we've lost sense of space. If you say, oh, I didn't know where my body went, I don't even think I had a body, you probably weren't. You weren't aware of it because of the things that are the biochemistry and the neurology that's firing inside of you. So it's pretty cool. So just trust it. You're safe in that part, and just let it go. Again, that's going to be about 20 minutes or so as well. And then the final component, we come into integration. And like I said, this is the most important because you start to come back online. Those chemicals that were released to rebalance the system are now starting to dissipate. And you're starting to come back into awakened consciousness. Your beliefs, your fears even, your insecurities, your limitations, your experiences are all starting to come back online. You're starting to realize time again. You're starting to realize your body and the sensations again. And it's very easy at this point to discredit the whole experience and just say, well, that was interesting, bit weird. But when I had that moment where I felt like I was flying over the earth and had the potential to do anything with my life, that's just silly little dream that was there. I don't really have that potential. I could never be an artist, a superstar, a writer, a successful businessman, woman, whatever. Like we discredit it. We instantly start to shut it all down. Oh, I saw this alien spaceship. That was this spaceship land on my head. That was too weird. This is not for me. Maybe it's metaphorical. Maybe it's opening something up for you to interpret. Imagination is the faculty for which our intuition can communicate to our logical mind. So just trust that, right? Now, awe and wonder is the key to this final stage, because you sit there, you're just sitting, allowing it to start to unwind, integrate, and land. And then your belief system will start to come back in. And if you give it the space, if you give it some time, it will create new beliefs, new interpretation of your reality, new understanding of your experiences that you can then take into your life. Be less reactive, be less restricted, be more in harmony, be more in love. And that's what it comes down to. So give yourself that last part of the session, the final stage, the integration, to land. Don't just go through the whole thing, have an experience, and pop out of bed or wherever you are and go into your day. Give it space, let it land. Okay, so there's the 4 stages. That's the soul vibing process. A little bit about how to do it and what's going on for you in that process. So enjoy it. And like I said, if you want to know how to actually do what the wisdom is behind that, the foundations course is the way to go. And other than that, enjoy the ride. Enjoy exploring this process. It's been a life changer for me, and it's brought so many insights and awarenesses to me over the years that I'm just so grateful to have found this and to then be able to share it. So thank you much. I hope to see you all soon. Love your vibe.